Yes, well, it's worth talking about cannabis. I don't think I would be who I am if it weren't for cannabis. And it hasn't particularly affected my memory. I'm actually the most devoted, on a lifetime scale, the person most devoted to cannabis that I've ever known is myself. I mean, when I lived in Asia, I used to set my alarm for 2 a.m. to smoke because I couldn't go from midnight to 5. And, people thought I was bananas. In terms of its deleterious effect, I mean, I think it's pretty on a scale of the other major drugs of commerce, which would be alcohol, tobacco, and white sugar. I think it comes off as in the best position. I sort of think of it as, going back to this partnership model about mushrooms in Africa, that when that all dried up and those people were moved into the Middle East, and there had been previous waves of migration out of Africa that had established populations in Central Asia. This is why you have like Peking man and Java man. Those are earlier remnants of earlier migrations. Cannabis botanically originated north of the Himalayas on the plains of Central Asia. And I think it probably is the best substitute for mushrooms on the cultural level. It's interesting. See, it was early on. It's one of the oldest domesticated plants. It was early on associated with cordage and fiber. And it's strange that all the words that associate to narrative are also words about weaving. I mean, you weave a story, you unravel a yarn, you unthread a situation, you untangle a situation. The parallelism is very old in all European languages, this association between narrative and fiber, which means hemp. So I sort of see it as the pilot light of Gaian consciousness that was kept going. Now, what people always say to shoot this down is they say, well, but Islam tolerates cannabis, and Islam is hardly the pilot light of Gaian consciousness. Yeah, I mean, it isn't actually that Islam tolerates cannabis, it's that the Quran expressly forbids alcohol, and then that leaves you to sort it out from there. I certainly think cannabis should be legalized, and that if every serious alcoholic were encouraged to be a pothead, and other drug abusers encouraged toward pot. The problem with pot from a societal point of view is that it is psychedelic enough that, like all psychedelics, it erodes loyalty to cultural values. Meaning, this is the bullshit effect, people say, why don't you get a job? Bullshit, why should I? I don't see it implicated in violence. I mean, I think if anything, probably cannabis in ghettos is holding down violence as a drug, but probably promoting violence as an item of commerce, and that is because of chuckle-headed laws. I mean, I'm absolutely convinced that the way to solve the drug problem is to remove the profit motive. That's so obvious that it's baffling to me. And society is so schizophrenic on this topic. I mean, the most dangerous drugs are alcohol and tobacco, both fully established in the engines of commerce. It's a bizarre situation, and, largely driven by the agenda of Christian fundamentalism in collusion with criminal syndicalists who see this as an opportunity for enormous profit, and, cynicism all the way along.